We are gonna go
shrimp
live on
and
YouTube.
fish and
Hey,
I'll tell you what's going
we're gonna reconvene here, I guess, or whatever word I'm using. 1 o'clock. We got the schools here. We have Ray Washington, and we got several. We got several people from the schools there. Holly's on, and I don't know who else we got on there, but we're glad to have everybody here. And we'll just let's just Karen, I'm gonna turn it over to you first. If you, I'm not throwing you under the bus, but we're let's just go through a little bit about where we are a little bit, like on sales tax and that kind of thing. I didn't mean to throw you.
Well, I think Ray and Holly are well aware of this. We have projected as instructed by this committee and with input from the comptroller's office and other guidance from some direction across the state, we have projected for our FY21 budget for sales tax to have a 25% shortfall. That may be conservative, that may be overestimated, but we felt like to establish a budget that was a good number to go with based on guidance that we have received. Additionally, we have cut business tax 30%, and all business tax this year will go into the local purpose fund in order to build that fund up to help with some of the deficiencies we've had in meeting maintenance of effort. Additionally, we obtained information, and I know that Holly has confirmed some of the numbers as far as a reduction in maintenance of effort based on the ADM numbers for student population. And so that reduction amounts to a little over $472,000. That again was taken out of the property tax allocation in addition to the decrease in the sales tax projection of 25%. Additionally, the county finance department was billing the school system $442,000. Much of that, as best we could tell, and I did discuss with Mike Nichols early on after accepting this position, came from salaries and mergers of individuals that came over when this department was created in 2005. So we went back to look at that and looked at the current staff in the finance department and who is actually performing finance tasks related to the school system. And we did a proration by percentage of that as far as a distribution, and we felt like $275,000 would cover that. We also wanted to make sure that we were not doing something that other counties were not doing that was under the 1981 Act. So we did talk to county finance departments under the 1981 Act, and this is a practice that most of them do based on a percentage of their school department budget or based on numbers that they can produce to justify the cost of billing for accounting services. So we're not doing anything that is different from other counties across the state of Tennessee. Does that give pretty much?
That's good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay, Ray, I guess I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just go through some questions that I've been getting.
Okay.
Since this started. How does this figure, these percentages figure amongst departments? Is it just straight 25% that we're estimating, or is there some ratios or anything going on with that?
It's from my understanding, but what we decided to do was just a straight 25% across
To all funds.
to all funds.
We got a board.
Right, that's based on nothing.
Right. Okay.
Right.
We don't know.
Thank you,
Well,
Gary.
yeah, I mean, thank you for being honest, because,
That's true. That's true.
because, you know, I'm gonna have to speak to it at the board meeting tonight.
What we're trying to do, Ray, is, and we could go over the things she said, what we're trying to be is ultra conservative as we can. The thing is on the hotel motel tax, we're down to 50% on that. We're basing it on that this year's is 50%. We're also basing business tax license, which is all going into local purpose. We're basing that on 70%. Karen's gotten the information that they're going to, in the process of closing 75,000 businesses in Tennessee. So the thing is, what we're trying to do is be, I go back to that word ultra conservative as compared to, I'd rather us err on that side rather than on a overly optimistic.
That's fine.
Let me ask you again.
Go ahead.
Ray, I don't know about you, but I think 25% is not enough. I mean, you look at what's happened in Madison County in the last 4 weeks, retail wise, I don't think 25 is, I think it's gonna be way great. Like I said.
Yeah, it's a 2-month delay, so you just.
That's where the real rub lies for us, because, I mean, we got our numbers for March and they were up. Well, see, that's not a good, clear indication of where we are.
Well, and I would like to say March numbers are actually January.
Right,
sales.
right. Yeah, that's,
So we won't know the impact from March, April, May until May, June, July.
yeah.
The other question I had was, or been getting, how do you, and this will be pretty simple for you to answer, how do you justify funding less than made of effort when there's an attorney general letter stating that counties must, even if sales tax are at a shortfall?
Well, this is the way that I would like to put it. We're in turnip mode here. Can't squeeze blood out of a turnip. Now you can write that down on your sheet right there, because that's where we are. You can't squeeze blood out of a turnip.
I'll make that a quote.
Okay, make that a quote then.
And I would like to state, we are not the only county that is in this position. So there is an effort to ask, the legislature is supposed to return June 1st.
Yep.
So we are asking, as well as counties across the state, that the governor of the legislature, for this time period that we're all enduring with so many unknowns, as Commissioner Deaton addressed, relieve us from maintenance of effort, not only in school systems, highway departments, and sheriff's departments, because it is something, as Commissioner Stevens said, we can't fabricate money. We have what we have.
So, yeah, so what we have to also consider is, we've been starting after Monday night to look at our budgets and what we can do based on the things that we're required to do. So we're working through that too, but
Sure.
we got to still maintain what we're required to do, both for our grants and things we have to do with our children. So if we got to do 10 million, we have to get some help from the state to change class sizes. I mean, this could be dramatic.
It's going to be pretty complicated, I'm sure.
Very complicated in order to meet that $10 million mark. It's more than just saying, well, you just whack this, whack this, whack this. I mean, we already slashed professional development and some other programs. And so it's just like whole programs will have to be deleted at some point just to provide basic education. Not to mention the whole COVID aspect of how do we re-enter schools again anyway? There's theories out there that some kids will go every other day because cafeterias and buses and classrooms, you gotta have distancing. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but that might end up being more of a financial burden than it is in the traditional mode. Okay, so that's all the things we gotta consider and work through.
Sure.
Because we have to provide a certain level of education, and it's gonna be, from the national department, U.S. Department of Education down through the State Department on what we can and can't do and how we do it, all right? So that plays into what we're talking about also. We talk about positions like educational assistants where you can't cut them all. You talk about maintenance, you can't cut it all. You still have to maintain your buildings, your schools, and your classroom. And so we're working on it though. We started.
That's all we're asking. We're a team.
The next
That's where
day,
we are.
we started the next day. We met this morning and we'll be together again after I leave here, going through every school, every department, everything to see where we are. And then we'll let you know, but we'll keep working on it.
What is the net number that we're asking for?
We got
10.5 million.
Yeah, next,
How much?
10.5 million sales tax.
take back 6 million this year, well, not a fund, 6 million this year, and then 10.5 next year, which our fund balance is about 13, so that'll drop us to 7. So next year, we would be at a deficit, of course, without anything being done. So we're working diligently at it, but at the same time, those are things that we have to consider. Certain things we have to do. And we build our budget from the bottom up every year. We don't just take a budget and add a little more to it. We start from every school and every classroom and go through positions and what we need and what we don't need. And then we have mandates based on the number of special ed students that we have to comply with and ESL students. So when you see in our original budget, we had actual additional special ed and ESL, is because it's mandated based on that student population, not something that's nice to do. All right. So those are things that we got to work on. So with all that being said, you know, that's where we are. We're working at it. You got people coming at us with different pieces of information to justify whether we could. Well, I mean, that's really going to be on you guys, whether it can happen. Right now, we're in turnip mode, as you said. You can't get blood out of a turnip, but at the same time, we know that there's certain things we have to do. And we're just trying to work to that end and make it all.
I think part of the problem that we're having too, right, is we're still not, until they get back to the
Right.
legislature in June, we're still sort of just, like Gary was saying, we're throwing stuff up and we don't know what's sticking and what's not.
And we're doing the same.
We don't have a clue.
We won't be
So-
any different than if we didn't do anything. We're going to do something to work through it, but
Right.
it really depends on what happens with the legislature,
Sure.
what they ultimately say has to occur.
I guess what I've tried to get across to everybody, and you've probably seen it on YouTube, is we're trying to prepare for worst case scenario with the hopes that it's going to be,
Hopefully better.
more optimistic. But we're in a position where we have to do that. I would be doing you a disservice if I say, because you and I have been very, very candid with each other. We're trying to do I don't want to do a disservice to say, well, yeah, we're going to do that, and then come back and say, well, no, Ray, we can't. I'd rather say, this is where we are, and we can move upward.
Is there any chance that people can lobby for a continuation budget until we get more answers or more?
I'm going to speak for Karen because we've had this conversation numerous times. They're discouraging us from doing that. However, because of certain things, that may be the best thing to do. We've had numerous discussions about that, whether that's the most, the positive thing. Now, we read an article from Shelby County, there were 3 different scenarios of what they were looking at. Continuation budget was one of them.
Right.
And really, when I first started thinking about this, we came in with the intention of a continuation budget.
Right.
But we just felt like I wanted to get this message across to everybody where we were, and then not jolt everybody and say, this is what's happening. So,
The impact specific to us is hiring. So you got teachers that retire, resign, or whatever, and we're in hiring mode this season, and we're losing candidates
sure.
because we had to put a stop to it. So we know we're going to have teachers, but we can't do it in this scenario until we get some answers. So
I don't know what.
yeah, I know
unless you
I'm
want to
not
make
asking you for an answer. I'm just saying that's what puts us in a hard situation.
Sure.
Because we know we have positions we have to fill, but right now we're not able to, given we don't know how all this is going to play out.
Right.
I will say, even pre-pandemic, Commissioner Stevenson had asked when the budget worksheets went
Yeah,
out, the
3%.
departments got
Yeah,
3%.
Yeah,
Yes.
Well, but this is 30. I mean, this is way more dramatic. Okay, 3%. That's one thing.
Well, he has used the scenario 30.
Well, the reason I go back to the 30 was that I was trying to get everybody to understand, and y'all have done a very good job in understanding this worst case scenario. Now, I just, and that's the thing. I mean, that's, sheriff went the other way. So
we recognize it, and like I said, we're working through that right now. It's just not that simple.
oh, it's not.
on
Oh,
how we
I
can
realize
go through
that.
all these departments and all these schools and all the things that we have to do in order to have school, along with the COVID unknown of how we
Well,
might be open school next year.
The thing is, though, is let's just say that we did a continuation budget. Let's just say that we did that.
Right.
Let's say worst case scenario, we get the continuation budget approved on August 31st. Okay, when I say we do continuation, we approve a budget. We say, okay, Ray, this is, we're only going to have to cut you 3% because of all this stuff. Let's say that we have another pandemic in October and November. Then I come up to you and go, well, Ray, I'm sorry, we're going to have to get you to cut 27% more. You're going, what the heck? It's better to prepare for this now for y'all to take a really good, hard look at what you're doing, and for us to take a hard look, address some of these things like maintenance of effort. We need to be addressing the biggest thing we need to address moving forward. Now, this is something that we've got an unbelievable amount of duplication of services. I mean, we could sit here till 6 o'clock tonight and talk about y'all's duplication as us. I'll use one right now. Do y'all have an internal auditor over there? Yes, you do. She's making $53,000 according to me.
She internal audits.
We have one here. Now, why do we need two?
May I speak to that?
You may.
Okay, thank you. This is Holly. Our internal auditor is much different from the county internal auditor. Our internal auditor is just for the schools. She oversees 23 school accounting programs. She reconciles monthly statements for each school. She makes sure that they're in compliance with the state comptroller's guidelines for activity school accounting. She works with the school support organizations weekly, if not daily. We have numerous fundraisers, and I mean, there's all kinds of work. It's a full-time job, and there's no way that your county auditor would have time to dedicate appropriately and effectively to 23 schools. We have an online school payment system that she oversees. We have a P-card system that she oversees. And so it's a completely different kind of auditor that you're talking about.
We have an auditor department with a chief auditor and then an assistant.
What's that? What's that, Doug?
I said, could we have one chief auditor and then an assistant that would be paid less to handle both?
Now, I'm not going to answer that question because I don't know what your auditor does. I just know that our auditor works full-time, nonstop. She's at home working right now to keep our schools in compliance with the state guidelines, to keep our schools out of trouble, to keep the bank statements reconciled, to keep the P-card system intact. I mean, I don't know, but her salary is very much in line with the level of responsibilities that job carries.
Y'all have a risk manager?
No.
You don't have a risk manager? Okay. How many people do you have in human resources?
6.
Okay, how many people?
Five in the receptionist, 6.
Here's what I
6
don't
total.
want to ask, and I don't
6 total.
understand, either the county's pay system way out of line and low, or the school system way high, because it seems like all of the positions that we have here, and y'all pay way better than.
I guess that's a legacy thing from way back. We hadn't done anything the last few years with paying people. I haven't. So,
And they'll work less hours.
Yeah.
like I said, I don't know how all this got the way it did. That's just the way it is. I don't.
Well, it's the same.
This opportunity may give us a chance to go back.
That's what we're trying to explore, Ray. We're trying to explore like information technology. Y'all, I don't know how many people you have in information technology over there, but this is a great opportunity for us to be able to look at these situations or whatever and be able to say, wait just a second, we could eliminate 1 or 2 positions here to do that, and then that's money that you could use in the classroom. I'm just saying,
that's what we're doing. We're going through
Well,
each department to see where we are. Now, you're talking about blending departments? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying we got 4 departments that we have overlap on. Well, you said we have 3, considering you don't have a risk manager, but we have, well, in county internal auditor, we really have 4 now. When I say not overlap, and I understand what Holly is saying. I'm not saying that what she's saying is not correct, but I'm saying it's in our best interest to look at human resources. We have 3 departments right now that I know have human resources department. We have the sheriff, we have y'all, and then we have us. Now, does that make much sense for a small?
I don't know what makes sense. I know what they do.
Well,
And I
but what
like
I'm
what
saying
they
is
do.
that's something that we could do on a, you know, in a
I'll be happy
combination.
to discuss it with Tony and Dr. Green about what happens in our department that's unique to schools. All right.
But what we're running up to is we've got the same thing with information technology because we have 3, y'all have, you know, how many ever you have, I'm not sure.
Yes, like
And then we got
14.
one at the health department. Those are areas where we're real, do we know?
Wanted to share.
And one at the sheriff too. That doesn't, I'm not understanding why we're moving away from the 1981 Act to consolidate because of bureaucracy. And we're saying, no, we've got this fiefdom. We have to control our fiefdom. We have to control this. I'm not being ugly. And it's a legacy kind of thing that you're saying. But at some point we have to say enough is enough. What Mike is saying, and I would agree, Mike is saying, if now is the time for us to look into this and go, enough is enough. We have to move forward on this to be able to reduce costs so y'all can move forward.
I understand exactly what you're saying, Doug. I mean, beyond you explaining, I get it. It's just a matter of the responsibilities that our human resources has. We'll use an example.
Sure.
The easiest might be IT. I don't know. All our people are divided by school, and by responsibility as far as infrastructure, network, things of that nature that have to make us go. All right.
We got the same problem with maintenance.
Yeah.
Y'all, I mean, y'all's budget, the last time I looked, I'd have to pull it up. It was y'all have an enormous budget. Our budget is expanding too for maintenance. Well, a building is a building. It seems to me. I mean, like if you got maintenance guys working on a building, what's the difference between it being a school building and being a governmental building?
Plumbing is plumbing. I mean, I get it.
I mean,
All right. It's just that.
but we're moving in the wrong direction. I
Once
guess.
again, that's where we just have a fruitful discussion about it.
I just want to throw that out on the
You can't
table.
Judge one person's workload or another until you understand what that person has to do.
You're exactly correct. Exactly correct.
There
Go
are things
ahead.
that we might be doing that y'all don't have to do,
Right.
or the other department doesn't have to do, but we have to do.
Sure.
You know, we hire all year long. We do investigations all year long.
No
We
question.
have insurance claims all year long that we have to deal with.
Okay.
The job description that this lady just described really is a bookkeeping or accounting position, because when you're reconciling bank statements and you're doing things like that, that's not auditing. That's, in fact, another auditor should be looking at her work and seeing and having, in other words, she shouldn't be making the deposits and writing the, I'm just using that as an
She's
example.
auditing herself.
Yes, in a sense.
She doesn't make deposits, ma'am. She oversees and trains all 23 of our bookkeepers. So she's the auditor of their work from my office at the board office. Our accounting system allows her to continuously audit what's going on at the school level, and assist when they run into issues. And so she's their supervisor, she's their trainer. It's a higher level position, with all due respect, than a bookkeeper.
Well, it was the job description and the way you described it that puts her into the category that I would look at versus being an auditor versus being an accountant.
I think Karen's got the job description there.
Yeah.
I've given it to her.
So we got that. I mean, if we counted up that amount of money, Ray, I mean, I'm just talking about duplication. I've got Karen figured that out. Karen, do you have a number on that for all that? I mean, I'll throw you under the bus.
Yeah,
But what I'm trying to say is, I'd like for us to have that discussion and for us to have a number and say, gosh, we have X number of dollars that we have under duplication of services that we could, is there a way like to explore, like what you're saying, to explore each job thing and say, is this a way that we could eliminate that, or we could
Yeah, you
consolidate?
just have to understand, like, even especially with human capital, on our side, you just have to understand what they're responsible for.
Right. That's correct.
versus just saying you got 6
That's
people
Go
and
ahead.
2,000 employees, but you also throw in the mix what we deal with on the other side, the amount of hiring, student accidents, things of that nature that we're responsible for also. So it's just more than just.
Oh, I totally understand what you're saying. I think it's just time for us to.
Here's what we're talking about is painful.
Sure.
Painful. And we have to recognize, if you gotta cut $10 million,
Where's it gonna
then
come
how do
from?
we approach cutting $10 million without doing something?
Well, 85% of what we have is salaries and benefits.
That's right. So if we got
That's us.
how can we,
It's all personnel.
how can we do that and still maintain the level of education that's required? So for us to do that, we got to do consolidation somewhere
Innovative and creative.
all across the county.
We gotta get more
And
creative.
nobody's gonna wanna do it, but somewhere along the line, we gotta come to the table and say, folks, we've got to do this if we're gonna maintain a reasonable, effective
And I'm
county.
not fighting back. I'm just saying, let's make sure we understand the responsibilities of all these different.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
We got
Just like
Jason.
Holly illustrated.
Yeah.
We got Jason Compton on the line. Jason,
The way I look at it is we've talked about this for years and years. And if we don't do something in this situation, we're never going to do it. And I don't care if we go the other way with it. If we're duplicating services and if the school system, for maintenance, for instance, if the school system's maintenance department is the department and they're the ones that take over and we eliminate the county side, then that's still eliminating duplication of services and we go the other way with it. It's still eliminating duplication of services. So it's just having the discussion, and it doesn't matter which way we go with it, we're still saving money no matter which way we're eliminating.
I think we kind of run into a tricky issue there with the funding being for the schools. And so like if we did the maintenance and we were using some of our staff here to help with county maintenance, then where do you draw the line with the funding because the county is held to a maintenance of effort level for the schools and our BEP money is for the schools. And so you don't want to cross the line and spending the money that's supposed to be for our students for services that are occurring outside of the school district.
I think the best way for us to do that, Holly, is to explore what some other counties are doing. I've talked to Henderson County, but this has been several years ago, and they were having the same issue about trying to do that. I think it's worth our while to explore, like maybe what some of these other counties are doing. How are they handling consolidation of services? Is there something? I understand what you're saying, and those are very valid. But I think the thing is, this is the time and the place for us to at least explore where we are. Go ahead, Ann.
Do y'all know, I know there was, when I was on the Education Vision Committee, we got the number of students per school. And because there's been such an outflux of kids going to other schools, particularly Gibson County, y'all's numbers had dropped quite low. And that affects maintenance of effort. And is that not right?
Yeah, oh yeah, so, we report our ADMs annually. We'll have the number for this year pretty soon because the counts will be a little bit different because of the way the school year ended. So yeah, we'll have our numbers. I think since 2005, I think the number is we've dropped like 9% or like 1,000 students since 2005.
Right.
We lost 100 last year. But yeah, since then, I think it's like 9% drop since 2005, about 1,000 students.
I know there's been,
Yeah,
there
but-
was a significant drop. And when you look, like you said, and that's probably the years you're looking at. But again,
And what you're saying is, though, BEP is based on students.
right,
Maintenance of effort is based on a budget that we had last year, and regardless of the amount of students, our maintenance of effort continues to go up, regardless of the amount of students they have.
Well, I think maintenance of effort has gone up since 2005.
Has it gone up?
I don't
but
believe
it
so.
is part of that formula.
It hadn't
Part
gone
of
up
the
since
formula.
2005.
That's what it is.
And, and once again, yeah, we had a drop in students, but the demands that we have continue to increase.
But isn't it part of that formula?
The formula for BEP, yes.
And
Absolutely.
for
ADMs, yeah, ADMs, the average daily membership is a part of the BEP formula. Yeah.
Okay.
And they
which is-
track it 3 or 4 times a year.
have anything else on, you know.
The
Well-
thing is, our maintenance of effort has been held at that level since 2005-06. Our average increase per year in actual dollars, not even looking at the value of a dollar, but from year to year is $22,000. That's on a $48 million maintenance of effort. And so when you're not increasing the funding for 14, 15 years, except for $22,000 a year, you're not keeping up with the cost of living increases. Even if we're reducing by students, I don't think you've got a fair comparison, even if you reduce it by the loss of ADMs for the county from year to year. You're still looking at us falling behind on the actual value of a dollar from 15 years ago to now, yet the maintenance of effort has been kept at the same level.
So we're on the funding the schools.
Well, we're just saying.
I'm just telling you what I'm seeing.
This is what's going on.
I will tell you.
I'm not running into it like I'm not coming at that angle.
Okay.
I've never seen you act that way, but this is what's going on.
In regards to maintenance of effort, I did talk to CTAS, and Madison County had the chance, and Holly, I think I've shared this information with you as well, in 2018 to reduce maintenance of effort well over $700,000, but I'm not sure that was clearly communicated to this committee or to the commissioners, but it did not. It did not happen.
Yeah, and we remember that.
So, and the other thing that I'd like to say is, and again, no disrespect to Holly, I think the world of her. I actually, when I was on the school board from 2000, 2008, she was the internal auditor part of that time. And I've been one of the ones talking about the duplication of services. I don't know what happened, but when this county finance department was formed, all of the school employees who were in accounting or finance, with the exception of the internal auditor, came into this office. And somehow through the years, it has gone back the other way. And I'm not saying it just for the school department, the same things happened with the sheriff's department. I firmly believe that this county finance department, and I'll keep on preaching this until I'm gone, has the ability to do the job to serve every county department, including the sheriff and the school system. And there are some efficiencies. And I think that I've already, over my 9 months that I've been here, proven that if somebody cannot meet the demands of this department, they don't remain on staff. And so I think that that's why I do not like taxpayers to be charged twice for services. And it has nothing to do with any individual that's in a position in any of these departments. It has to do with efficiencies. And we are facing the largest shortfall that this county has ever seen because of a nationwide pandemic. And I think it is our responsibility to do the right thing with the dollars that we have. And perhaps Commissioner Deaton is right. It may be less than what we're projecting, but we know we're going to have some shortfalls. And that is all that I'm asking, is that we look at what can or cannot be done. I am one of the largest advocate of children. That's why I served 8 years on the school board. But is the dollars going to the students? And that's the question that we have to ask ourselves, is what can we do to be better stewards of the money that we have available?
Nobody would argue with stewardship. Nobody.
Okay, we can move on here, I guess. Ray, you got any other questions down there?
That basically covered it. It was just about, with the Attorney General's opinion that it was published in 2011. It says that that's still supposed to occur. We've got the turn-up analogy with it that you put out there. We're basing it off air basically because it's unknown. And I'll just articulate that at the board meeting for those who have that question. And it just, for us, it's not something that we can turn over within a week.
Sure.
So we take some time for us to go through all the positions to try to get to a place that we know we are. And then we'll get to a point where, okay, we can't do anymore unless the legislature changes what we're required to do.
Right.
All right. So we'll just go work to get to that point.
Can we move in another direction now on capital just a little bit? Karen, I'm gonna let you go over about the grant that we're getting for the buses. You talked about the special education bus. You called me about it the other day.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to purchase one on this year's budget. Is that, am I understanding
Well,
that correctly?
we're seeing if we can do that. Yeah, because
Okay.
it's moving money from operations actually to capital.
Right.
and that's gonna be tricky with the budget committee and the board.
Now, Karen,
We're
you'll
better
go
off
over
maybe
that
letting
with
that money fall
Ray.
to fund balance to help offset what's going on,
Right.
you know, so that's a decision we have.
Now,
to
that's a
make.
special ed bus, which runs about $100,000.
Yeah, they're more than the actual regular
Okay.
buses because of the lifts and everything that goes
But
on.
I was gonna let Karen go over that, just
So we'll just look at, your number was 420?
480, I
480.
believe.
Yeah, that's what I, then we got an email that said 420, so.
I think it was 480. That's what I wanted to make sure we were on the same page.
Yeah, I need to know that because I saw an email that said 420, but I thought it was 480.
I think
It
it's,
started out 480. He kind of keeps changing his mind a
Yeah,
little bit,
that's-
so.
okay.
480.
Well-
That's what I'm trying to track.
What I was wondering, we got some things going on with capital and educational capital, and
Mhm.
Commissioner Taylor and Commissioner Compton,
Mhm.
and I've been talking about some different scenarios there. We're wondering, you know, I think you were saying that you needed 5 special ed buses. Is that correct?
That would be a great number.
5 total or 6 total?
5 total, 4
Five
speed and
total?
at least 1 regular.
Okay, so what we could do was take that 480, we'd be still short probably about $9,000 there
Just a little
probably, if I'm
short.
thinking right.
Yeah.
But I feel like we could probably get that covered out of that.
Yeah, if
out
we
of
could
that
do
grant.
5, that would keep
Now-
us at least out of hot with the state and having to ask for so many waivers.
Right.
To
Okay.
continue to try to run
Let me-
buses.
Let me head on and move on. And is there any other buses? I mean, does that cover your bus needs or? is it-
Well, I mean, it
there's
doesn't
some-
cover the total needs, but that's what we could get by with waivers.
Okay,
We'd have to
that's
do
what I
some
was
more
gonna ask you about
waivers,
the
And
waivers.
we'll be pushing it to the end on some of them with 18 years.
Sure.
Right, which is
18
a-
years now?
Well, it's 15, then you can waiver to 18.
Can you really? I thought it was
And
only
we've been-
17.
and, no, we've been pushing,
Okay,
we
gotcha.
push that envelope every year.
Well, I hate to do
Y'all
that.
Rebuild anymore?
Huh?
You rebuild any? buses?
That's not acceptable.
Not acceptable.
The thing is, I
We do
hate to,
rebuild, but it's within that 15 or 18 years.
I hate to do that. I guess what I'm needing from you is if you could, let's just say that we waiver that and that's what we do.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the maximum of what we can do. We need some kind of figures from you over the next 3 years to say, hey, we're gonna need this. I
'Cause it
need those,
changes,
I
'cause
need
we
those
gave that
numbers.
Forecast
Right,
before, and now it'll change
Right.
with us doing this.
and that's what I need.
I'll
That's
get
what I
Ryan to
need.
work that up.
Okay,
Because
that'd be
we had
good.
that average of 12 to 14 that got us on track to go drop down to 8
Right,
within a couple of years.
Yeah,
we'll
I
drop
saw
back
that.
Down to 8, but this will change it, but once again, it's based on the age of those buses.
okay.
Is the key factor, because at
Now, let
15,
me-
they cut you off and you can't waive past 18.
Let me get to this, educational capital where we're working on the schools. What our plans were, and I talked to you and Alan, as a matter of fact, when you were sitting right there about, and this was before all this happened, was that y'all come up with a really good number of saying, hey, we're gonna be able to do 8.5 million in projects. Well, of course, that's been kicked down the road. We're not gonna able to do that. But however, this is what I want to make sure that I'm understanding. I'm changing direction here. I want to understand about the needs for the furniture for Madison and for JCM. I guess what I'm needing also is to understand when that needs to be implemented. So in other words, what we need to do on our end.
Right. So
So,
FY 21, if we want to open those schools in August, we have to order the stuff at the end of this year.
at the
in the
end of,
spring.
in December.
So the 2 million that I said I would sacrifice to go back to fund balance would be some of those things infrastructurally, like the wiring for the cameras and things of that nature that has to go in. You know, I was hoping that would help get us over that bridge to when we could get some more money to get that thing outfitted. But really, everything that we need has to be done prior to June 30th, so we can open school by August 1st.
Okay, that helps me out because I didn't understand the time frame on
Yeah.
that, on when that was due. So that's,
That's the deadline, that's what's committed to.
I find that pretty aggressive there.
Next August.
I find that really aggressive.
It is. Yeah, that's the due date. We're supposed to move in August of 21.
21.
That's next August.
Is there any possible way that they could do, as you move forward on those, is there any possible way that they could do like what we're doing at the, with the jail, where they could come give us a progress report
They
periodically?
sent one actually for
We
the
need to
board
have a
meeting.
periodic progress report on where we are on
Yeah,
that.
They don't mind. Yeah, I got one for last month, the other day, to present it, I gave it out at the work session.
Okay, well, we need to have it at the county
I'll forward
commission,
it to
so
you.
that'd be good. We need to have that so we know where
There's no
we're.
problem, and they'll, once we start having real meetings, they'll show up if need
Okay.
be. They'll show up at the board meeting and the commission. We'd already.
I'm ready
discussed
for a
that.
real meeting, man. I'm
Huh?
ready. I'm
Well,
ready for a
it's-
real
It's
meeting.
past June 30th now. You
I
got
know,
June
it's
30th.
real
new
meeting.
order.
No, we go, I went in May.
Okay.
What
Real
is it?
meeting.
Okay,
Well, the order just got updated, so.
Okay.
Governmental entities
So-
make a
Okay,
decision.
they can.
And let's-
Good.
let's, on the Pope situation, we're just waiting to see sort of
And like I
how
told
this
you,
all sort
works
of
out. And like I
flies
said-
out. We're committed to, I'm
like I
speaking
told
for
you, I'm
Gary
not
and for
running
Mike.
past any money
we're
when I talk-
committed, but
when
we're
talking to people. I'm not gonna waste a year sitting around.
Yeah.
We just
Where we
gonna do what we can do. We're not saying we're building it at any specific time, but with the architect and the contractor, we're gonna do what we can do to get to a point.
Gotcha.
And they don't move past us saying go. We got it all broken down into phases based on dollars. And whatever we can do, we'll move to the next step, till we get to a guaranteed maximum price. And at that point, if we build it then, that's fine. If not, we'll just hold up. We have a pretty design until we get ready to build it.
I'm glad to know we got a good sign. Guys, I mean, that's all I had to cover. I mean, you have anything else, Mike or Jason, you got anything?
I'm good. I mean, Ray, I understand what you're saying. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna sit down and look at where, in your worst scenario, you're gonna try to figure out how you can maintain this the level that we
Yes.
could find.
Yes, so we're going through it, like I said, everything, and then we gotta assess, okay, when we get to a point where we know we can't do anymore, where do we stand with the things that are required of us to do?
Just, I mean.
All right, that's what
to
we're
be
doing
honest,
every day until we get there. And then we'll have the input of the new superintendent who comes on May 18th.
What about you?
I'm supposed to still be here, so he said he's gonna continue to keep me around. We'll
I'll
see.
vote for you.
All right,
Me
thank you.
too.
So Holly, I'm not going around Ray, but can we get something in, what kind of time frame could we get something from y'all?
Well, that's what I was gonna kind of check in with y'all about to see what your thinking is on this budget timeline. And if it's not a continuation budget, when will we know that? And then if that's the case, when do y'all have to have our budget document?
Okay, in answer to the continuation budget, we have been strongly discouraged by the state on doing a continuation budget on more than one occasion. And so we're moving forward as if we are going to present a budget at our June meeting.
Okay,
So, with that said, there, as you know, putting together a budget, there's a lot of things that have to happen in order to get it out to the commissioners and so forth in a timely manner. So I think, worst case scenario, we'd need it probably within a week and a half.
I'm telling you, that's not possible. I mean, it's unbelievable to think that it would be possible to cut over $10 million out of our next year's budget with a $6 million shortfall this year and know how to make that happen in a week and a half. We just cannot do it.
How quickly can the school system look at it?
We probably need at least 3 weeks, if not longer. I mean, that's optimistic.
Commissioner Stevenson, that would put it at.
The 22nd. Well, that's 2 weeks, or Memorial Day week.
I mean, and that's just me. We have a lot to think about here because this is, I won't even go into the detail of the logistics of all of this in order to get it to a presentation point. And we need to involve our school board in this too, which, you know, you have to schedule those meetings and just the timeline of all that. We truly may be looking at a month down the road, if not further out.
It was supposed to be presented June 15th at your commission meeting.
Yep.
It
And you
can't
would
be
need a week
adopted
before
unless it's
then?
published 10 days prior.
It has to be published 10 days prior to the first.
We need something from you by June 1st.
We will do our best.
It has to be adopted 10 days prior to the 26th. I mean, it has to be published 10 days prior to the 26th. It can't be
Actual
adopted.
budget. Yeah.
Correct.
Actual budget.
But if we had it by June 1st, we should.
Holly, thank you.
Oh, you meant July
June
1st.
1st. No, June 1st.
Hey, can I just say a couple more things, please?
Sure.
Okay, I just want y'all to keep in mind too that we have to still maintain our 3% fund balance. And so we're not able to use all of our fund balance. And so I don't want, looking at where we're ending this year possibly to kind of throw people off. We still have to have our 3%, and that could equate to about $3 million that needs to be in our fund balance.
Holly, that is one of the things that the legislature is also supposed to be addressing in the total maintenance of effort thing.
Okay, well, I was just told today that by state fiscal consultant that the 3% fund balance wouldn't be waived most likely. And so maybe it will be, but we'll see. It's hard to know, especially to do a budget by June 1st when we don't even know what kind of action will be taken by the legislature. I mean, what if they don't change the standards for the maintenance of effort?
They're all gonna get in a hole and cover it up.
Or they don't address classroom size as we go through this and things of that nature that have to be addressed for us to get there. I don't know what other, some counties may have more or less, percentage that they being cut. I don't know. I know everybody's facing it, but I don't know to what extent. So we'll just have to see.
Maybe they'll send us the money.
All right.
It's a
Okay,
good idea.
thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
We got anything else? Okay, Ray, thank you.
Are we off?
We're off.
No.
We're not
No,
off.
you
have to adjourn.
Let me adjourn here. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Yes.
Ann? Okay, roll call. Mike Taylor.
Yes.
Yeah, Ann White.
Yes.
Doug Stevenson, yes. Jason Compton.
Yes.